Hey guys, Prebble1701 here, and today we're going to talk about which era of Doctor Who do you think is the most underrated? Just the era that doesn't get the praise and attention it deserves. And I think there's more than one people could go with, and I'm sure with Doctor Who being as large as it is and having so many eras, there's going to be several different choices. I think a good candidate, for example, not my choice, but a good candidate would be the Williams era. Because I do think Tom Baker is the one Doctor who has multiple eras, really, with the Hinchcliffe era, the Williams era, and his one season with J&T. And I do think the Williams era is better than a lot of people do. Seasons 15, 16, and 17, I think, are good seasons. I don't dislike any of them. There are some definitely some classics from that era. Horror of Fang Rock and City of Death, perfect examples. I also really enjoy The Sunmakers, The Ribos Operation, and The Pirate Planet. So there are some good stories there, and I do think it's a good candidate for the list. But the one I want to talk about is the Sylvester McCoy era, because I think this is a really good era. The more I have seen of Sylvester McCoy's era, and at this point there's only one story I haven't seen, and that's the Happiness Patrol, which I hear mostly good things about. I hear a few people who don't like it, but I hear the Happiness Patrol is really good, for the most part. But I see, like, in rankings when it's not ranked high, or people bash it because they all seem to think that Time of the Ronnie is the whole era. Have you seen Time of the Ronnie? That Sylvester McCoy era is so campy and silly, and I'm like, have you watched season 26? I remember watching, I think it was like GQ or something was like ranking it, or I can't remember the name of the place. I need to find the website and actually like put it in the description or something if I can find it, where they were ranking like every season of Doctor Who up to that point. The list is like 3 years old or something like that. And the McCoy seasons were all like really low, all of them. Even season 26, which I think is one of the best seasons in the show's history. I love season 26. I don't think McCoy has a lot of bad stories. I like most of his stories, and I've seen, like I said, 11 out of 12 of them. So let's break it down and look at them. Season 24, the kind of campy season. Time of the Ronnie, I think, gets too much hate. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's great. But it's not this just total mess of turd crap that some people call it. It had to be written on the fly. It had to have a lot of adjustments made to it. They had to do the regeneration the best they could under the circumstances. And there are some aspects of it I enjoy. I like seeing Sylvester running around in Six's outfit for a while. I love the fact that Kate O'Mara is obviously having the time of her life. Is it good? No. Is it enjoyable? Yes. For an every now and then watch. I don't mind it. But then you move into Paradise Towers, his second story, and it's great. I love Paradise Towers. I saw it for the first time when the season 24 box set came out, and it is worth getting that box set just for that. I absolutely loved that story. And McCoy is great in it. He's so calm in that story. It's such a drastic change from him in Time of the Ronnie to him in Paradise Towers. I love that story. It's a really dark story. If you can get past the season 24-ishness of it, the kind of little bit of camp overlay that's played over it, the little rainbow paint that's splashed on top of it, and actually look at the subject matter of the story. It's dark. It's a very dark story. It's dealing with some dark stuff going on in it. We're talking Hinchcliffe level dark stuff going on in there. If you can just get past the kind of bright lights, visuals that are used in it, like it is the whole season. Really good story. One of my favorite McCoy stories. And then you have Delta and the Bannerman, which is there. I don't hate Delta and the Bannerman. I don't really care for Delta and the Bannerman. It's just It's kind of the story for me from the Sylvester McCoy era. If there's one I'm just kind of on, it's that one. But it isn't bad. It's not one I would want to rewatch a lot. But it's And then there's Dragonfire, which I love Dragonfire. I think Dragonfire is great. You have the introduction of Ace. Who doesn't like Ace? You have the departure of Mel. Always a good thing. I'm not a big fan of Mel. I think McCoy, for the most part, is good in it. I don't like when he's kind of sliding on the ice and he kind of over-exaggerates it. Yeah, that's a little much. And the one cliffhanger when he's hanging off is weird and kind of out of place. But I like the set design. I absolutely love that they brought Glitz back. I was very sad to hear about Tony passing away recently. Very, very upset to hear about that. Tony breathed such good life into Solomon Glitz. I love Glitz as a character, and I really enjoyed that we not only got to see Glitz with the 6th Doctor, but we also got to see him with the 7th Doctor as well. He's great in this story. I love the creature design for the creature that's running around. I think that's realized really well for Classic Who, and I absolutely love the villain with Kane and how well he has acted. I like Kane. He's done really well. I think Dragonfire is a very underrated story. And that's just the weakest season of his era. Season 25, things get going. We have Remembrance of the Daleks, which is great. I think it's a little overrated, but it's a great Dalek story. I have some issues with it, but it's really good. I really like Remembrance. I enjoy Silver Nemesis. I know it's basically an inferior version of Remembrance. I'll admit that, but I like Silver Nemesis. It's a way better Cyberman story than most of what we get in the modern series with the Cybermen, to be honest. I think it's underrated. I enjoy it. We have Happiness Patrol, which I haven't seen. And then we have Greatest Show in the Galaxy, which I don't really care for, but is held in pretty good regard within the fandom. I know most people, when people comment on stories about the 7th Doctor, most people seem to really enjoy Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I don't really care for it. I don't hate it. It's probably the story I call the most overrated of the 7th Doctor era for me. But it is held in high standards by the fandom, at least for the 80s stories. And then you have Season 26, which is just pure amazing. It's almost perfection. You have Battlefield, which is great. They bring back the Brigadier. Boy, that really was coming out wrong. And he's great in it. It's nice to have Nicholas Courtney back. I love Jean Marsh as Morgaine. I love the Doctor's speech at the end. That's probably the most underrated speech in all of Doctor Who. I love his speech at the end. The only issue I have with Battlefield is the incidental music's awful. Other than that, it's a great story. I really enjoy it. And then we have Ghostlight, which I love Ghostlight. I consider Ghostlight essential Doctor Who viewing. Anytime someone comes up and is like, why should I watch Doctor Who? I'll be like, because it does stories nobody else does. It does stuff that is out there. It does original ideas you won't see anywhere else outside of like maybe the Twilight Zone. And Ghostlight is one of those. Ghostlight is different. There are not really a lot of stories like Ghostlight. You don't see other shows that do stuff like Ghostlight. It really is its own unique story that every Doctor Who fan needs to watch Ghostlight. I absolutely love it. I love the atmosphere. I love the Victorian mansion. I love how Sirius McCoy is in it. I love Ghostlight. It's my favorite story of the season. And then you have Curse of Fenric, which is also really good. Perhaps slightly overrated, but really good. Also essential Doctor Who viewing. McCoy is great in it. Ace is great in it. The guest cast are all great in it. It is a phenomenal story. And once again, we see McCoy being the chess master Doctor he is. The serious Doctor. We get a lot of backstory from Ace, just like we did in Ghostlight. I really loved how here at the end of Doctor Who, they were really fleshing out the companions. Kind of a precursor, a template for what we would get in the modern series with companions really having their backstories done out. We really get a lot of that with Ace. I really enjoy Curse of Fenric. And then Survival, which is a great way to end classic Doctor Who. It's a great story. This is Anthony Ainley's best portrayal as the Master, in my opinion. I love how all the camp is gone. He's playing it very serious and very threatening, and I really enjoy that. I don't think it's a perfect story. The kind of Puss in Boots outfits I didn't like. But that's not what they wanted to go with originally when they were working on the script. That's just kind of how it ended up. I like McCoy in it. Again, I like Ace in it. I love the final speech at the end. That's a great speech. It's a good way to send off Classic Who. It's just a really good final story. This whole era, like I said, there's like maybe 3 stories that are just and not so great. But all the others are good. I love Paradise Towers. I love Dragonfire. I really enjoy Remembrance. I like Silver Nemesis. And I enjoy all 4 of the stories from season 26. So that's like 8 out of 11 stories that I really enjoy. I cannot understand why this season gets shit on as much as it does. Because it doesn't deserve it. Well, it had really low numbers when it was airing. Well, yeah! It's up against Coronation Street. Of course it's going to have low numbers. I'm an American. I've never seen Coronation Street. But I get the fact that Coronation Street was a numbers juggernaut at the time. I get the fact that putting something up against Coronation Street was like a death sentence. I'm an American and I have that figured out. So most of you watching this who are probably British, you should know it even more than I do. So it's not quite Doctor Who's fault it wasn't getting the numbers. It'd be like if you'd scheduled something up against Game of Thrones now. There's just no way. It's very obvious that the people who were running the BBC at the time wanted the show gone. They just couldn't quite pull the plug on it because the last time they tried to do that, people had a fit after season 22. But it was very obvious that they wanted it over with. For the show to have the quality of episodes that it had, with all of the circumstances going on around it, with the people up above it and where it was scheduled at, it is a miracle that we have the quality of stories that we do. And they are great stories. I suggest anyone who hasn't seen the 7th Doctor era to go watch it. Or if you haven't seen it since the 80s, go back and actually rewatch it with an open mind. There's a reason why a lot of people, their favorite Doctor is the 7th Doctor. I have people down in the comments who tell me that if McCoy's not their favorite Doctor, he's like their second favorite. He is high up on people's list for a reason, and a lot of it is the quality of stories. Much like with the 2nd Doctor, 3rd Doctor, 4th Doctor, a lot of it is not just the fact the actors playing those Doctors was so good, but the quality of the writing was so good back during the late 60s and the 70s. That's pretty much universally agreed on. But the quality of the writing was pretty good for most of the McCoy era, honestly, if you go back and watch the stories. And it shows. And McCoy is really suited to that Dark Doctor. So yeah, I think the 7th Doctor era is really good, like really good, and is definitely the most underrated era in all of Doctor Who. So I would like to know what you think of the 7th Doctor era, and how long it's been since the last time you really watched through it, and what you think the most underrated era in all of Doctor Who is. So comment down below and let me know what you think. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on a new video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to contribute to what I do. If you like what I do and want to support what I do, there is a link to that down in the description below, so check that out. That helps me out. My entry-level tier is only $2 a month, but there are other tiers as well that give you access to other things like behind-the-scenes stuff and even video requests if there's something you would like to request for me to do. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.